Charles Darwin saw that we are all related to each other, that we all share a common ancestry. He proposed that we are the result of Earth's processes over millions and millions of years to unfold a great diversity of life throughout time. Darwin's theory completely changed the way that we understand the living world, much like the discoveries of Galileo, Newton, and Einstein transformed our understanding of the physical universe. First, let's talk about how the theory of evolution developed. Before Charles Darwin was born, many people in England believed that species were unconnected, unrelated, and unchanged since their creation. The Earth was thought to be only about 6,000 years old, giving no time for species to change. It was a world seen as timeless and unchanging. By 1800, European naturalists had discovered many new things about plants and animals by collecting specimens and carefully studying them. Of these naturalists, only a few bold thinkers, such as Charles Darwin's famous grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, believed these different species had evolved and they all shared a common ancestor. They observed how some animals had acquired special adaptations, such as a giraffe's long neck that it uses to reach food at the top of trees. So how did this adaptation happen? No one could provide a reasonable explanation for such dramatic mutations. The young Charles Darwin examined life very closely. The vast diversity of species here on Earth poked at his curiosity. Why so many? Why are some only slightly different from one another? He wondered. As an outdoorsman, Darwin loved to hunt and collect different specimens to study, especially rocks and minerals. In 1831, at only 22 years old, he sailed the HMS Beagle on a 5-year trip circumnavigating the globe. He collected and observed whatever he could get his hands on during the voyage, and this was an experience that most of his mentors never had the opportunity to enjoy. Darwin began his trip as a creationist. This is someone who believes that all things were made and placed here by a creator, or a god. Although his grandfather spoke of the idea of evolution, there was no real explanation to back this theory up. 2 years after observing the fossils and native species of different areas in South America, their similar yet distinct patterns, in 1858, Darwin finally realized the answer to all the questions he had wondered throughout life: the process of natural selection. According to Dr. Niles Eldridge's Charles Darwin's Evidence for Evolution, this idea spiraled from his knowledge of variation and inheritance, along with the realization that more organisms are born each generation that can possibly survive and reproduce. The organisms with characteristics that aid in survival have a greater chance of producing offspring, therefore passing down these characteristics that will give their offspring an advantage towards survival in life. Other naturalists had many doubts about Darwin's idea of natural selection. Most of them were still creationists and refused to believe anything other than their creator put life on our planet. And remember, at this time, the world was thought to only be less than 10,000 years old. So this theory of change across massive periods of time didn't add up. So how did Darwin prove his theory? It wasn't until after his death that his ideas became accepted among scientists throughout Europe and the rest of the world. Since the early 1990s, there have been discoveries worldwide of ancient fossils that resemble today's fauna, with slight differences based on the location they were found in. Cairthon from Live Science News reports that in 1994, paleontologists found the fossilized remains of Ambulocetus natans, and this means swimming, walking whale. It had clearly adapted to swimming, but could still clumsily walk on land, much like a seal. This was the first piece of true evidence that showed a species' genetic mutation had evolved over time. Over the years, more and more of these missing links are being discovered, further supporting Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection underlies all modern biology. It allows us to decipher our genes and to understand the Earth's record of fossils and great biodiversity. Still a controversial topic, the theory remains unchallenged to this day as the main concept of biology. Charles Darwin, a disinclined revolutionary, immensely altered our view of the natural world and our place in it.
Ooh.